Hello, David Vose here. Beautiful day. What a beautiful day. I'm so happy. Um, I was looking for a cat because I've got mice out here, and I've been looking for a cat for a while. And you can't get cats or anything like that. You can't. They're like $120 for a cat if you want to go to the pound here, and you got to get shots and do all this stuff and get tracks, and they got to make sure that you get a background check and all. It's ridiculous, and I refuse to do it that way. But I ended up, um, we've got our own little pound down here, down at their grocery market. When these people leave around here, they have animals, they leave them off at the door. And there was this little kitten. Well, it was a little bigger than a kitten, but it's a beautiful cat. And it's exactly the cat that I have been, wanting. It's my favorite kind of cat. It's an orange striped one, and it's just the friendliest thing, and I was worried the dogs would not take to it, but man, the dogs have taken to the cat, and we're a big old family now. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, guys, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I got some really interesting things to show you, and let me just get right into it right here. Postcards with babies in cabbage patches, particularly those from France, were popular in the early 1900s. The ones from France were popular in the 1900s because that's where almost all of them came from. And they originated from a folklore tradition. Where did that tradition get started? Why are we... I think the tradition is prevalent today. We've saw little storybooks or postcards that have storks dropping off babies, and we think, oh, silly little tradition. Where did that get started? Well, these postcards served as a playful and creative way to announce new births, really, which was a common practice for birth announcements at the time. But isn't that also at the same time that they were delivering these babies to people's homes, and they were seen going to the Cabbage Patch and picking out a baby, and they would say, oh, this one won't wet its pants, this one will be a good baby. There's all kinds of French sayings on these postcards that say stuff like, one says, for sale. Many of them would say, for sale. They'd be coming on, masses of them in a bus. There's more to this. They're lying. As you guys know, this AI will cover things up. You ask about the moon landing, they cover it up. Do you believe we went to the moon? You believe they covered it up? Well, they're covering this up too, and a million other things. Why would there be postcards of children coming by the trainload naked, right? Just portraying these naked babies. Maybe so people would want them. Maybe pedophiles would want them. There's one inside the flames. But they come by the train in box. You open the box, you take them out of the train. They're in little boxes, right? But they just grew them in some sort of laboratory. And by the way, what do you do with the kids when you get them? Oh, I don't know. Maybe you cook them and eat them? Maybe. These are like children. They're like chickens, right? You have chickens. Well, you could even keep the babies in the chicken house if you didn't have any room, right? Because, hey, they're having fun. They're like, oh, we just picked them. They're right off the vine-ripened babies. Oh, buddy, we got them coming, right off the assembly line. Well, this Cabbage Patch agriculturally grown babies probably has something to do with some plot or plan, at least. Hopefully they didn't put them in incubators. Oh, no! Oh, there's the old doctor. Yep. What kind of contraption? Oh, my goodness. Oh, what is this? A patent on... Oh, put them on rollers. Ha ha! Steam them out. Yep. They're behind the little deal. You walk up. Oh, this old farmer's going to get... Oh, you got triplets, buddy. Ha ha ha! This is great. Aw. They're doctors. There's just such a great... What? They hang them up? There's two babies hung up by a rope wrapped in gunny sack, and If you notice, that's an incubator. On the bottom left, that's an incubator for babies. It's a whole infant incubators. And I mean, it's almost, I think it's borderline. No, I actually think it's barbarism, barbarianism, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, there she is. Oh, we're still doing that today. I mean, I got my daughter out of one of those things when she was born. Now, this one, it looks like beneath the baby, there's some new ones coming out, like loaves of bread in the oven. Oh, my goodness. But I don't think that's funny, actually. But, guys, they sold them. They put them in the incubators for display. And people walked up and looked in the little window and decided which ones they wanted. I'm not kidding you, friends. Look at this. This is what is exhibition. Look at the babe. We've seen babies before. They were looking at the babies to see if they would like to buy one. And these incubators were kind of like, chicken incubators. You put the eggs in the bottom and they come out little baby chickens at the top. Oh, what the fiddly diddly whittly is that one? That just tears it right there. I think we can be certain that this was not some kind of humanitarian program, right? So yeah, they had infant incubator stores. The doctor would meet you at the door, hold up a baby, and you go on in there and pick you one out. Yeah, oh, that's just fine, oh buddy. And then you take them home. What do you do with them? Well, maybe you can plow your field, right? Get a bunch of them, naked ones, get them out there behind the cow. Oh yeah, they can clean the house and, sweep the floors and do some yard work and put them in gunny sacks and see if they can get out of it. If they try to run away, put gunny sack around them, that'll fix them. I'll bet you some of you are saying, come on, Dave, that's just a game. The kids are playing a game. Those are babies. I don't think you put babies in gunny sacks. Those are not even toddlers. Those are little infant babies that they put in gunny sacks and sold them. And how did they get there? Well, either the stork brought them or they came on little boats down the river. Oh, buddy, they just came on little boats. Maybe some of them just swam to shore and the women went out there and caught them like fish, in the net. Come on now. Oh, here's a whole boatload of them. Hey, we struck the jackpot. We got a whole boatload of babies now. Yeah, well, I've been fishing all day and all I got is 4 or 5 in this here net. Oh, buddy, you got a whole boat full. I'll be there in a minute. Well, yeah, they just came onto the shore. Maybe they got thrown off the boat out there, swam to shore, and we give them some, bucket of porridge. Or on the other hand, maybe they just grew out of the Cabbage Patch. They just grew them somewhere. Maybe that's symbolic for we grew them in a test tube. Cloned them, but ultimately where they end up is a cage. Somewhere they're caged. Well, friends, I don't mean to be laughing about such horrifying things, but come on, sometimes it's all you could do is laugh out of just complete unbelief, or you really don't know what to think, and it's either you laugh or cry. And I guarantee I've been doing a little crying too. But come on, I'm a big boy now and I got to do this video, so I got to put on my smile face. But guys, it's just no laughing matter. And it's very interesting that it's all from France, which is at that turn of the century, they were all coming. The Huguenots, my family were Huguenots. And the people coming over here were displaced, driven out of France. The people from France went to Spain, then they had another Inquisition. The people went to different parts of the world, Britain, Scotland, Ireland, and various parts of the world. And then from there, they drove them out again. And they came to America by the thousands and thousands, and many of them couldn't even afford to get over here. And they had to give up their babies. Or, I don't believe they took the babies. I believe the babies were all abandoned and perhaps their parents died. They murdered the parents but kept the babies because they wanted to indoctrinate them into a new system, a new world. which we'll show you actually happened. The tradition is also linked to terms of endearment like mon petit chow, meaning my little cabbage. Isn't it interesting that in French you've got the Chevrolet with a T, right? Chevrolet. Or mon petit, but it's not pronounced petite, it's pate. The T on the end comes from Egypt because Mary Magdalene was an Egyptian, and she's the mother of all of that people up the Rhone all the way to Paris. And they originally had a Egyptian language, but now they've invented a new modern French. But it means my little cabbage. Reasons for the trend: folklore tradition. The postcards depicted the folk belief, especially strong in France. Why is it especially strong in France? Because at that point, the Huguenots were being displaced, murdered. It was Inquisition, meaning an inquiry? Yeah. Do you believe like we do? If not, off with your head. Recant, right? Paper bulls. Why did the Catholics want to destroy the French? Because the French had their own Christianity, the true Christianity. They're pagans, right? And they wanted liberty and fraternity and justice for all. Can't have that, now can we? Well, they came to America and brought their statue with them. And that statue is Mary Magdalene, I guarantee it. And not only that, take a look at how closely that resembles the crown of stars upon her head to Revelation chapter 12. Well, especially strong in France, that babies are delivered in cabbage patches. Birth announcements. The tradition became popular motive for birth announcements. I think it might have done that after originally they promoted selling babies as cabbage patches, or storks brought the baby, or whatever kind of thing. But it ended up turning into something else. So, birth announcements, known as Férié parts de naissance in French. Symbolism. The cabbage outer leaves wrapped around its inner heart may have symbolized nurturing and growth, or it could symbolize that babies are just stuff that we grow like a farmer. It isn't like a family. A man and woman has babies and loves and they're part of the family. They're your inheritance. They're your children. But you just buy and sell them, or you cultivate them in a garden and grow them and sell them and make a profit. Or that was the way they sold them, but they had to do it because there were so many of them, because their parents were all dying and being murdered or disease, driven out with, I don't believe anyone just went out and murdered people. I mean, well, we know they did. It's called the Inquisition. But I mean, there were times where it was just that they were on the road, they were fleeing, they had nowhere to go, they couldn't go home, they had no homeland, kind of like Gaza or Hamas or whatever's going on over there. And, a lot like, we talk a lot about either poor Jews that don't have anywhere to go, and yet they run and own the world. We're supposed to feel sorry for them, billionaires, right? And, talk about reparations. Well, they certainly got their reparations. And now they're willing to just openly murder and expel people and genocide people. But why did they think they could get away with that? Is it a public display of power? Is it just to see how much they can turn the screws and they could just kill our babies in front of us and get us to buy postcards with little, fluffy outfits and say, oh, for sale, oh, the babies are coming, the storks bring the babies. What people don't know, that babies come from mommies and mommies need to nurture their babies. This is sick, and we've gotten used to this. Almost like war. They popularized it, right? Some guy going off to war and he's a hero, and he's a hero for what? Dying or killing other people? They made it something that was heroic, patriotic, because they need you to join the army and die. Can you imagine? It's like, oh yeah, come on down here and die for us, right? For no reason. And if you do, we'll give you a postcard. We'll make you famous in your family. Your entire life, people will be like putting a picture on the wall saying, that's my son. He went off and died for what? For what? We're so proud of him. He just gave his life. And tomorrow I think my youngest kid's going to give his life. Right, this is great. Give me another postcard to make me feel better about this. So it says that the nurturing and growth, while the tradition was associated with fertility, as cabbages were common food in France or French countryside, were often given as wedding gifts. Cultural connection, the term of endearment, mon petit chow, my little cabbage, further connected the idea of babies and cabbages. Influences of mass media, postcards became a popular form of communication. The Cabbage Patch baby motif was a successful genre that spread across Europe. Artistic inspiration. These postcards later became a source of inspiration for many artists, including Dadaist and Surrealist artists who canceled them for their unique imagery. Isn't that crazy? So look at this. There's a billboard, I guess from the old days, and there's a baby being brought in by a stork. Baby from Babyland. Cabbage Patch Kids. In France, babies are born from cabbages. There's a saying, mon petit chow, a term of endearment that literally translates to my little cabbage. Babies emerging from cabbage patches adorn old postcards and birth announcements. Kate E. Henshaw wasn't sure what to make of this baby origin story until she got in touch with a folklorist in Utah who mentioned that storks, the subject of a much more common baby delivery myth, do not migrate in France. Really? But why cabbages? It could be anything from it being yonic to, in the Middle Ages, people believed that if you ate cabbage, it promoted fertility. Really? Henshaw told me there's an old wives' tale, probably unrelated, that you can use boiled red cabbage as a makeshift fetus gender test. Mix the mother's urine and the cabbage water. A pink or red result means you're having a boy. Purple means a girl, according to the first result for cabbage gender test. On Google, this test is at least 55% accurate. And then there are Cabbage Patch Kids, the infamous doll brand that reached peak popularity in the mid-'80s. Like French babies, Cabbage Patch Kids are born out of a head of a cabbage. I mean this quite literally. If you go to Babyland General Hospital in Georgia, you can watch as Mother Cabbage gives birth to a hand-sculpted baby Cabbage Patch Kid underneath the branches of the magic crystal tree.
just seems kind of fabricated. It seems there ought to be a better way to sell a doll to a young girl than watching it come out of a cabbage. But there must be something to it. There was lots of people there. In my mom's days for childbirth, they would put you under. Now, when I was born, I was a breech baby, and they went to the hospital. She started having pains with the hospital, and she was in labor for like 24 hours.
Mom shared with me.
My mom was not one that made it sound like
she hadn't had sex with me because I was breech. But her experience was, she said it was like going to the store and getting a baby. So that was not my experience at all.
Now look at this. This is Wikipedia. The orphan train. The orphan movement, or the orphan train movement, was a supervised welfare program that transported children from crowded eastern cities of the United States. And of course, they got there from Europe, from France, the Huguenots, because these were children of Mary Magdalene and Jesus Christ. Guys, if you don't believe me, watch some of my other videos. But anyway, they transported children from crowded eastern cities when they got to the eastern areas like New York of the United States to foster homes located largely in rural areas of the Midwest, short on farming labor. So they became child laborers. How many thousands of children built these farms and worked on whatever, in factories before they changed the law that you couldn't have child labor? And they were just profiting off of babies. But my question is where were the babies coming from? I know they say epidemics, famine, parents just dying or whatever from not being able to afford to live or even take care of their children. But why was this happening? It was a systematic program. They were having wars in Europe and destroying the children, and they were fleeing to America. And when they got to America, they were sold to the farmer. The orphan trains operated between 1854 and 1929, relocating about 200,000 children. That's probably an underestimate. Look at them on the train there. That's a real picture. The orphan train. The co-founders of the orphan train movement claimed that these children were orphaned, abandoned, abused, or homeless. But this was not always true. They were mostly the children of new immigrants. Immigrants, or, what would you call it? Refugees fleeing from persecution from places like Europe, all over Europe, because that's where they went or they fled. The refugees from France and Spain when they were inquisitioning them. They were mostly the children of new immigrants, the poor and the destitute families living in these cities. Criticisms of the program include ineffective screening of caretakers, insufficient follow-ups on placements, and that many children were used as strictly slave farm labor. These charitable institutions, Children's Village, founded in 1851 by 24 philanthropists, the Children's Aid Society, established in 1853 by Charles Loring Brace, and later New York Founding Hospital, endeavored to move these children. The institutions were supported by wealthy donors and operated by professional staff. The three institutions developed a program that placed homeless, orphaned, and abandoned city children, who numbered an estimated 30,000 in New York City alone in 1850s. Now, this went on to 1929, in foster homes throughout the country. The children were transported to their new homes on trains, and that was just from New York City, that were labeled orphan trains or baby trains. This relocation of children ended in 1930 due to a number of reasons, including the passage of legal restrictions decreased need for farm labor in the Midwest, and changes in attitude toward social welfare. Now look at this. The New York Foundling Hospital, established in 1869. Now, think about this word foundling. Remember how you look up when a building was made and they say, oh, it was founded in this year. It was founded. Oh, it was founded. But why don't they say it was built, right? It was built in this year. Because it wasn't built, they found it. Like, what? They just found it? Well, they found these children too. They're foundlings. Sister Marie Irene Fitzgibbon of the Sisters of Charity in New York as a shelter for abandoned infants. They just found them. No, they were abandoned. Really? The sisters worked in conjunction with priests throughout the Midwest and South in an effort to place these children in Catholic families. The Foundling Hospital sent infants and toddlers to prearranged Roman Catholic homes from 1875 to 1914. Even before the war got started, babies were, like what? I think they were, systematically, like before the war even started, they were systematically murdering people. And they took the babies and sold them and reset their brains and taught them to be good little Catholics. Prearranged Roman Catholic homes, parishioners in the destination regions. Now, if these were Roman Catholics and some of these were priests, they were taught to be pedophiles. What were they doing with the kids? Making confused little babies is probably what they were doing. Notice that AI doesn't disagree or deny that foundling means found. While foundling does literally mean a baby who was found, the term's history reveals a far more complex and organized system for the abandonment and institutionalization of children. Foundling hospitals and similar institutions were created centuries ago as a response to widespread child abandonment and infanticide, particularly of illegitimate children. Now look at this. Many 19th century orphanages and insane asylums. Well, let me just tell you what I asked. Why were orphanages and insane asylums in huge castles? Why would they build castles like cathedrals to house the babies and the sick? Because this is true of orphanages as well as insane asylums or even hospitals. Well, many 19th century orphanages and insane asylums were constructed in a grand castle-like or palatial architectural style for several key reasons, including the belief that the architecture itself was the therapeutic and desire to legitimize the institutions and the use of the fashionable styles of the era. Does anyone think that a Gothic-style stone building, like a prison, would help be therapeutic? Right? How much money does it cost to build a cathedral? It would take years, supposedly, at the turn of the century, to build this huge castle out of stone. There's no wood or anything. It's just simply like a tabernacle, like a temple, like a Catholic. Remember, they're all Catholics running the world at that point. We didn't even know it. All the babies were given to the Catholics. Therapeutic architecture for asylums. A central principle of the 19th century mental health care was a moral treatment philosophy which held the mental illness could be cured through a compassionate and healthy environment. The building itself was considered a crucial part of the cure. A peaceful and part of the cure was lobotomies, like lethal injections, tying them down, putting them in straitjackets, smacking them around, holding them in a prison-like cage, don't let them go. Oh, that's going to make them better. Like, don't let them go outside, they might run away. Then what would you do? Oh, then they'll go out and they might get in a fight or hurt somebody or kill somebody. Maybe because you drove them insane like a mad dog. Why were you taking all these people and putting them in castles? I don't even think they built these castles. I guarantee they did not for the purpose of putting orphans and insane individuals or sick people. They didn't do that. They didn't have that much compassion. They were selling and buying and selling the children. These castles were already there. They found them. They founded them. And they made the foundling children, the ones they founded. It's very simple. They can't lie. They have to actually put the right word and then tell you that's not the right word. Oh, you silly goose. Babies don't come from storks. That's just a story. The reason we put for sale there doesn't mean that we're really selling them. Oh, of course it was some corruption. Oh. But we did our best, right? We couldn't help it. We had to have a world war and destroy every man, woman, and child. And of course the disease and the famine got to us. What are we going to do? Well, we had to build some castles. Who were the people that went out there, like what, Masons? From the Masonic order that went out there and built, oh yeah, Trump the architect, the Mason, the head Mason's got a big Trump Tower in every major city of the world. He's the master Mason, I guarantee it. And Jared Kushner's family were also master Masons. They were intentionally built in picturesque rural settings to offer a calming refuge from the stress of urban life. But they were locked in a prison! Oh, there's a garden out front, but there were no fences around the garden. They don't want the orphans running away. You know, they didn't let them out. The doors were locked. This is lies. The grand palatial aesthetic was meant to project a sense of decorum and respectability, contributing to the patient's recovery. Did any of these people recover? I don't think so. They were institutionalized. You don't make people recover or get them to recover so they can go out and take care of themselves by putting them in a little room and feeding them every day and strapping them down in straitjackets and giving them injections in the butt. The Kirkbride plan. Psychiatrist Thomas Story Kirkbride developed a widely adopted architectural plan for asylums. His buildings featured long, staggered wings, often called a bat wing. Why would they call it a bat wing? Are they being cannibalized? I mean, they're sucking their blood like bats? The bat wing floor plan that extended from a central administration building, in other words, where the guards were, right, and the authoritarian capturers for the capturees, from a central administration. This design was intended to provide fresh air and sunlight to all the patients. The architectural style ranged from Italian to neo-Gothic, contributing to the castle aesthetic. Why would you build a Gothic-style building in a time when there were no Gothic architecture in the country, supposedly? So who was building all these cities? If they really were being built, they were Gothic structures. But the ones that were here when we got here, look at Chilago, weren't Gothic. They were French, Italiano, Greek. They were ancient culture, like they've been here for thousands of years. Then they came in and started building all these Gothic structures, probably in the 1600s, way before Columbus even got to America. Hope and optimism. Oh, really? Early asylum doctors were optimistic about the effectiveness of moral treatment. Well, I think it's a bunch of crap. Wow. Philanthropy. Many orphanages and asylums were funded by philanthropists. Oh, Billy the Gatekeeper was doing it. Or state governments that wanted to present a respectable and authoritative image. So they built cathedrals and Catholic. Well, I mean, come on. You know how difficult it would be to build a massive cathedral and put the time and the care into it that you would be putting into a great temple for Aphrodite, right? Or Artemis. I bet the long white robes that those doctors had were donned because they went down in the basement around in a circle and lit candles and prayed to Satan and drank their blood. I guarantee it. It was a temple. And these children were being brought in to sacrifice to Satan. No question. That's the answer. And that's what happened. Accusations of satanic rituals and child sacrifice in institutions like orphanages and asylums are part of a broader, disproven conspiracy theory known as the Satanic Panic. Oh, the Satanic Panic! While investigations into abuse in these institutions have uncovered horrific, verifiable crimes, there is no credible evidence supporting claims of large scale. Not large scale. There's no credible evidence of large scale. Oh, just a little small scale stuff. But no large scale satanic stuff. Coordinated satanic ritual abuse or child sacrifices. Okay. You can't prove it, so nanny, nanny, nanny. Just a bunch of paintings and you know, the facts and all the reality that was going down, but that's not proof. False memories. False memories. Oh, you didn't remember that. That's a false memory. Allegations were often based on claims of recovered memories by adults in therapy and the testimony of children. Oh, we got testimony. On the testimony of 2 or 3, every matter will be established, but not when you're trying to, cover things up. So, however, researchers found that the therapeutic techniques and interviews used in these cases often involved suggestive and leading questions. So you see, if you walk up to somebody and lead them on and say, weren't you abused and sacrificed to Satan? And weren't all your children sacrificed to Satan? And you're like, well, yes, I think they were. Actually, I didn't want to talk about it because it was so painful. And you're like, oh, that's leading question. You drew that truth out of that person by asking him the bold-faced question. And you should have beat around the bush a little bit and made them feel like, they didn't have the freedom to speak up, right? The only way somebody could speak up about their abuse is if you were sitting with somebody that you trusted, that were saying, oh, yeah, it's okay to talk about it. Were there abuses? And you're like, yeah. Oh, but now that we asked you if there were abuses, we're leading you on. We can't believe that there were abuses. It's kind of what they're saying. Notable trials. They even had trials. A prime example is the McMartin preschool trial in California. It involved years of accusations of ritual child abuse, but despite being one of the most expensive and lengthy trials in the U.S. history, it produced no convictions. Well, of course it didn't. Just like there's never been anybody convicted for the Epstein debacle, right? That's just par for the course. Why orphanages and asylums were targeted. Baseless rumors. Secret and remote locations. Oh, now we know why they were grand temples, right? Out in the middle of the country where nobody could run away, because they were remote, isolated, and it made them seem secluded and mysterious to the outside world. Yeah, it is very weird to see a temple somewhere in the middle of nowhere and all these little children being locked in there like sardines. This isolation fueled suspicion and allowed for the easy spread of unfounded rumors. Misunderstood practices. Mental health treatments of the era were often crude, dehumanizing, and frightening. Oh, but they're just trying to help the children, and they want the aesthetic of the Gothic prison to make them feel better. And those shots in the arm, Ha ha! When I was around 4 years old, I was terrified of the tale of Hansel and Gretel. How could a mother just abandon her children in the woods, even if the family had nothing to eat? Yeah, how could that? How would any mother abandon their child to a temple where these men in white robes locked them in cages and injected them with chemicals? Why would any mother hand their baby over to the witch in the forest, right? The white robe, whatever. I tell you that there would be 1 in a million mothers that would do that willingly. Trap those same children and try to eat them. Eat them. Why are we telling our children about the big bad wolf and Hansel and Gretel, and how if you leave the children in the woods, there's crazy black-robed priests, like nuns with black robes, right? That will come and eat you. Why? Why are we telling people these stories? That babies are born from Cabbage Patches and they're for sale, and they put them on trains and take them to these temples and orphanages out in the middle of nowhere where these old men are, they could do whatever they want. There's no cameras. These old men, how do you think they got to the position that they're in? Right? It's a Masonic cover-up. It's a pedophilia. They're all, oh my, do you guys really think that you could trust a bunch of old men dressed in robes in a temple-like cathedral castle in the middle of nowhere with little children with no supervision? Do you really think? Now think about this. This is part of the great master plan of Satan. There's all these conspiracy theories and accusations that Satan is evil. Why, of course, if there was a Satan, he'd be evil, of course. But there isn't, obviously, because we're doing things according to the plan. Why, we've made insane asylums, and it's to help people. And you're just too stupid to realize that poking them in the butt with tranquilizers isn't helping them. Somehow you think that people shouldn't be tortured. Why, this is normal. Don't you understand? Get used to this. You're going to be rounded up and taken to prison whenever we want. You're going to be taxed to death on the property that you own 47 times before you even get to look at it. And if we don't want to give you a permit to drink water, you might just die. We'll charge you $1 for the bottle of water, and if you don't get to market a beast, you can't buy it. Now, that's just the way it goes, poor boy. Just go get you a little job or something. Go out there and join the army and kill people, or become a dulcier, a priest, and go to what? School for 8 years to learn how to manipulate the bodily organs of another human being, and take a knife and cut them open, and usually they're going to die anyway, but you know what, it's fun. And if you want to join, then you too can live in a world where everything is awful, but you think it's great. So listen, yes, everything was going normal during those years. Nothing out of place. All the children were coming up missing and dying. That's normal, right? All these big Gothic cathedral insane asylums and orphanages, that was just the way things are. Who do you think you are? Think that world's supposed to be nice. Oh yeah, I know your life has been, one struggle to get to the next struggle, right? With no food in your tummy when you go to bed at night. Well, of course you do. Of course you got food. Of course it's not food, but yeah, you got something in your tummy. Some of these poisons we made up for you, but don't you complain now, because this is just normal. There's nothing to see here. The Emerald City is just a beautiful place where there's a beautiful white fairy. She gives you all the wishes you want as long as you know how to believe. But if you don't know how to believe and clap your heels together 3 times, well, you're just out of luck, because that big old black witch is coming with all those monkeys. And she's going to kill you. I'm telling you. And she won't just kill you. She'll haunt you until you die. Because you're on that road trying to get a heart and a brain. And you know what? Some courage, and you ain't going to get none. Because you're too stupid. Because you're out here looking around for fairness when there ain't no fairness. You're like, I don't believe the government wouldn't do all that. This is ridiculous, Dave. If you think all these conspiracy theories. But you know what? The truth is, we are living on a flat, infinite plane. And the conspiracy theory is that we live on a globe spinning 66,000 miles an hour through an empty vacuum of space. Man, you're just lucky that you're alive. You know what I mean? And just be happy, right? You ever wonder, you Trumpers, why you need to make America great again? Do you think we really need to lower the interest rates, or get the minimum wage a little higher, or maybe have some new welfare programs. Maybe that would make a better place. If we all could just get along and everybody could be the same, right? In every country, every people would all do what we're told, and then everything would be great. We'll all be under law and order. More prisons and jobs, jobs, jobs. That's what you want. You know what? You're so stupid that you're probably going to get what you want. You're going to get slavery. You're going to get more health care or more of these guys in white robes murdering you. In fact, remember when it was like, oh, well, we can't even get health care. This is terrible, right? Well, now you're going to get health care, okay? You're going to get death care. And yeah, from cradle to the grave, because you won't live long, but guess what? You're going to be forced in chains into the ovens. That's your health care, because that's exactly what it's always been. And you want more of it, right? Please let us go into the hospital anytime we want and get cut open and give us some, medications that'll stop our hearts and our lungs and our liver function and our kidneys. We can go on dialysis now. We got free health care. Oh, yay! We can go get cancer radiation and radiate our lung right out of our chest. Oh, man, you're going to get everything you wanted, you idiots. You think it was bad in the turn of the century? Wait till you see what's coming. Oh, Vanna, tell them what's behind door number 3. It's not even a donkey. Shoot, you're not even allowed to have a donkey nowadays. What you're going to get is a triple heart bypass surgery. Oh, buddy, and the government's going to pay for the whole thing, right? Even the funeral. Yeah, well, anyway. Okay. Yeah, no, I know some of you think I've gone overboard, but I don't really think so. I don't think you know the half of it. I don't think we know the half of it. The 1/10 of it. The suffering, the pain, the evil that was going on. And that's just 100 years ago. Can you imagine what was going on in France when they were doing the corkscrew on your nails? I mean, the thumb screw, or the rack, or they'd hang you upside down and put honey on you and have the ants go in there and crawl over you. Or they'd put you on the piles and light it, and you'd burn to death. That's what they were going through. So I guess we should just feel lucky that all we had to do was lose our children and die in some rat's nest under a bridge in Los Angeles. But I digress. Man, you know what? I think I'm just going to leave it there, guys. What more can I say? I mean, I could dredge up some more evil for you, show you some more evil-looking weird pictures. I could tell you some more evil things that they did to the whole world, for thousands of years. But I think we've had enough of this evil for today. I'm going to go ahead and go. May the Lord bless you, and He will. Just seek Him. If we could ever get a brain, if we could ever get a heart, we could maybe just start believing in each other and loving one another, and everything would be just old fine. Wouldn't even have to go get our welfare stamps today. We could just eat from food that's in our garden, right? Just stand together and say, kumbaya. But, I can't imagine doing that. No, let's go down and burn the cities out. That's what we'll do. We'll go down there and we'll fix them. We'll burn our own cities down, right? Oh, yeah, let's leave the courthouse alone. Let's make sure that the UN building stays intact. Unless we want to, make a big, sort of a psyop for the public and have a Project Bluebeam where some guy in an airplane with a box cutter comes flying into the Twin Towers. Now, maybe we could do something like that. But anyway, I don't know. There's aliens coming, so who cares? I'm going to go ahead and go. Hope you have a wonderful day. Lord loves you. His grace and His peace will be with you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.